Manga has been banned in Florida. Quite specifically, Assassination Classroom. So ridiculous headline, but a bit of a much, I'm not going to say much deeper, but a slightly deeper story than you may think. Slightly. And I'm going to be honest, I have some mixed feelings about this. Not about the ban. The ban is stupid. In fact, the entire course of action here is stupid. But I can definitely appreciate some of the sentiment behind why, and I'll get into that in a bit. Firstly, what have we got here? Assassination Classroom manga removed from Florida, Wisconsin school libraries. Manga about apparent alien teachers class also challenged in North Carolina, Virginia. Gifford Middle School in Eastern Florida removed the Assassination Classroom manga from its library last month after receiving complaints from groups. Wow, groups. The Elmbrook School District in southeastern Wisconsin similarly removed the manga from its electronic library last month after a complaint by a parent. The series is facing challenges in other states as well. In the Assassination Classroom and its manga adaptations, a class of middle school students are tasked to assassinate their homeroom teacher, who is really an alien with superpowers, before it destroys the Earth at the end of the school year. Alright, so some disclosure, I'm actually very new to Assassination Classroom. I went and read the first volume when I saw this article because I wanted context, and honestly, I regret not being on board sooner. It is such a good series so far. I love the premise, I love the characters, and I especially love Koro-sensei. And obviously, I'm nowhere near finished with it, but I really like the idea of kids being taught like what it is to be human and grow up as a human by an alien, or with the help of an alien. Because Koro-sensei has the advantage of being an objective source on humanity. But to be fair, that is the sort of thing that you really need to get past the first couple of pages to see, which I imagine a lot of these parents and a lot of these groups did not. And I guess what I'm picturing is a parent just opening up volume 1, probably realizing, they don't read the same way that we do, flipping the book around, reopening it, and then the first 2-page spread is an entire class of children holding automatic weapons with the intent to kill their teacher. Out of context, looks pretty bad. And to be fair to the overreacting parents here, I can understand the sensitivity to material depicting guns in schools, particularly in the United States. We'll get into that in a bit, but for now, back to the article. Gifford Middle School removed 3 books from the series, which has illustrations of students with guns in a classroom from its library. According to Jennifer Pippin, chair of the Indian River County chapter of Mums for Liberty, it would be American, chair of the Indian River County chapter of Moms for Liberty, the books were inappropriate, considering the recent school shootings in the US. Pippin added, "We don't want students to think it's okay to kill their teachers." Another group from Florida, the Citizens Defending Freedom Organization, announced on Monday that it will challenge the manga, which can be found in the Florida middle schools, for its violent and sexually explicit content. The organization's National Communications Director, Kristen Huber, stated, "We should all be able to agree that violence towards teachers and explicit sexual content is not something that schools should be glorifying or promoting, especially on taxpayer dollars." Okay, so let's be generous. To look at this from the other side for a second, the group Moms for Liberty doesn't exactly scream power to me. In fact, you know what? Let's look them up. Moms for Liberty. Liberty for Moms. We are activists. We believe. We fight for our children. Very about us. Liberty welcomes the parental rights, all levels of government. Here we have some founders. Tiffany Justice. God, that is such a cool name. I mean, with a name like that, you are basically set up to found this kind of organization. In any case, good on them, I suppose. I think a lot of people, I guess myself included, think the idea of banning this manga is pretty petty and not at all an effective solution to the core problem that I think they're trying to solve. However, consider that groups like Moms for Liberty is a group that has no real power to affect change. I mean, the ability to change laws surrounding gun possession and ease of access is not being gatekept by Moms for Liberty, and if it is, bad moms, bad. So I think this seems petty because it is. And the reason why it's petty is because that's the only power they really have. And on that level, I sympathize. But also, come on. As someone who did once experience being a child, I always found it ridiculous just how much adults were concerned for us. And I really don't think that adults give kids enough credit when it comes to their media consumption. I mean, for example, when I was in high school, the Da Vinci Code came out, that stupidly well-selling book. Almost everyone at my school was reading it. And I went to a Christian school, so naturally this book sent the higher-ups into a bit of a frenzied God panic, because the Da Vinci Code has its own interpretation of Christianity and the organizations surrounding it, and I remember this unfortunately vividly, they called a 1-hour school assembly where the chaplain had a PowerPoint presentation dedicated to just debunking the entire book. And it was a joke, like the whole thing was a joke. Nobody took this book seriously. Nobody's faith was like thrown into crisis because of of the Da Vinci Code. It's just a fun piece of fiction. To my school's credit, though, they didn't ban the book. They just chose to address their concerns. Meanwhile, we've got some legal action happening here. Florida's HB 1467 bill went into effect last July, and it requires school libraries to only include books pre-approved or vetted by a holder of, quote, a valid educational media specialist certificate from Florida's Department of Education. The Elmbrook School District in southeastern Wisconsin added 5 books from the series in its e-library, starting with the 2021 to 2022 school year, but removed it last month after a parent raised concerns that the district might be promoting gun violence against teachers with the series. Elmbrook's Director of Library Services, Kay Kopsel-Benning, said the claim is inaccurate. Another parent raised concerns about the depiction of violence and sexualization of minors in the series. Alright, look, maybe controversial opinion in the anime sphere. Concerns over sexualization of minors is something I can sympathize with. Being an anime and manga fan, there's no denying that this is a lot of what goes on. We all know. Even very basic shonen series like Black Clover will do stuff like show upskirt shots of Noelle, or just generally show 15-year-old girls quite blatantly naked with this like little thing over their nipples. What is it that Black Clover does? They just sort of like white them out. And look, I can definitely understand a parent not wanting that in a school setting. And I mean, Japanese culture in general is just a lot more, well, we all know what it's like. And then comes an argument of, stop putting Western values on Eastern cultures, and yeah, sure, whatever, that's fair. But I also think it's fair to consider that in the opposite context, specifically in a Western school setting. Now, with that said, I have yet to see anything sexual at all in Manga Sensei. Manga Sensei? Okay. What I meant to say was obviously Assassination Classroom. So I was thinking of Horror Sensei, which in my head then became Manga Sensei. And actually, I think I know why that is. Because this absolutely reminds me of that situation that one time in Australia where a politician conducted like a morality review of manga, and he got up in Parliament and he reviewed Manga Sensei. I need to find this video. All right, here he is, the man, the legend. I believe it's a South Australian senator named Sterling Griff. Don't know why I said it like that, Sterling Griff. I think he's actually quite well spoken, but this is amazing. Let us proceed.
Plain and simple. The worst anime my office discovered is Manga Sensei. The plot is beyond...
Just notice how he stutters saying it, like, as if it's so disgusting to him that he can't quite get the name out. The worst anime my office discovered is Manga Sensei.
Plain and simple. The worst anime my office discovered is Manga Sensei. The plot is beyond what any person would consider as normal or appropriate.
Fair.
The series features 12-year-old Sagiri, who draws pornographic manga while her 15-year-old stepbrother writes the books. Revealing clothing and sexually provocative poses are frequently depicted throughout the series, with the characters seen copying these poses and referring to genitalia. The series also heavily features incest themes, and many scenes are so disturbing, I just can't describe them.
But also what I love is that Sterling Griff isn't just describing Manga Sensei. He is just kind of describing what happens in a lot of anime in general. Like, there is a shocking amount of incest themes just in general anime. But also, oh my god, there's a part 2 to this. All right, let's go, Sterling.
Further research by my staff uncovered another series called No Game, No Life. This series is hypersexualized and features incest themes between the two main characters, brother and sister, Sora and Shiro. The Classifications Board decision report for No Game, No Life states, and I quote, "Throughout the material, the female characters are frequently depicted in sequences that feature panning visuals of or close focus on their crotches, breasts, legs, and or buttocks." End of quote. They are describing images of children.
It is very difficult to disagree with Mr. Sterling. Anime and manga have a lot of weird gray area and sometimes just straight over the line stuff. In my opinion, I don't think Assassination Classroom is one of them. Definitely ban Manga Sensei from your school library if it's in there. But as for Assassination Classroom, the series is also being challenged in Pender County, North Carolina, where it was described as a work that educates students on how to kill their teachers. Alright, so you see that's a massive overreaction. Now we're treating Assassination Classroom like a guide on how to, what would the word be? teacher side. And I mean, I get that kids do stupid things, and a lot of those stupid things are stupid ideas that come from stupid media. Like, I grew up in the generation of Jackass. That show caused so many kids in my school to replicate those stunts, and some of them were really properly injured as a result. Like, there was even one absolute moron in my year 11 biology class. We were doing an experiment with sherbet. I forget what the experiment was. This memory has just been superseded by the moronacy to come. But to be all cool and stuff, this absolute dipshit decided that he was going to snort the sherbet like cocaine. And the dude went to hospital immediately after he did that. So some kids, yeah, they're gonna be easily influenced. But I do think there's a big difference between being influenced by jackassy sorts of stuff and say you get into a trolley, have your friends ram you into a wall, as opposed to say reading Assassination Classroom and being influenced to murder your teacher. And if anyone out there is pushed to that action by Assassination Classroom, then there were bigger problems that we needed to deal with already. Like much bigger problems. Which I guess goes back to the whole, this doesn't address the actual problem. It's like putting a band-aid over a missing limb. It's completely useless, and hey, it might even be counterproductive. Because I think adults really do forget what it's like to be kids. Because if you're told not to do something, then all of a sudden, that something looks mighty appealing. And it becomes a bit of a Streisand effect. Kids are now on the hunt to be all edgy and read the forbidden text. In Richmond, Virginia, House Bill 1379, which requires school principals to keep a catalog of all audiovisual content and keep track of which books contain sexually explicit content in the school's library, and make those information available to parents, passed the House of Delegates in February and was up for debate in the Senate subcommittees. Delegate Tim Anderson, who sponsored the bill, cited the Assassination Classroom manga and said that he took issue that the series is available in some school libraries. Another Weekly Shonen Jump manga, Death Note, faced similar complaints in the 2000s and 2010s. The American Library Association's Young Adult Library Services Association. What is that name? The American Library Association's Young Adult Library Services Association named the manga among its 2007 top 10 great graphic novels for teens, and the ALA cited the manga in its Banned Books Week 2010 campaign to raise public awareness of such challenges. As an update, Virginia's House Bill 1379 did not pass the Senate in March. No lists of sexy books for you parents. I really want to know how many of the concerned groups actually read Assassination Classroom. How many of them got past the concept summary in the first 2 pages? Because what I think happened is that they opened the book, saw the kids with guns, and then flicked through, saw some more violence, you get some knives and explosions with tentacles, but didn't actually read the content of the series. Because from what I've read, it's actually quite sweet and encouraging. So on the one hand, I do feel like parents should just chill the crap out. But on the other hand, American parents do face the realities of schools. Schools of all places being one of the most dangerous locations in the country. So I imagine that it can be very hard to be chill. But I think we all know that this isn't the solution. And if there's anything I've learned from this, it's that you absolutely should read or watch Assassination Classroom. Oh, and also I've learned that I want more anime reviews by Sterling Griff. Start a channel, you will be an instant success.